A woman started a scandal at a children's party, insulted me and my child, and then she was arrested for making a scene after she. It all started at my baby shower, when Mill completely lost it. She insulted me, tried to name my baby, and ended up getting arrested after making a scene. Let me rewind a bit. I'm 29, married to my amazing husband Gary, and pregnant with our first child. It's been such an exciting and overwhelming journey so far. Gary and I have been together for a long time, and we tied the knot 4 years ago. We've been trying to get pregnant for almost a year, and when we found out I was pregnant 6 months ago, we were both ecstatic. We've been through so much together, and this pregnancy has just added to our happiness. The news of a baby on the way has brought so much joy into our lives. Every day brings us closer to the moment we'll meet our little one, and we can't wait. For me, pregnancy has been a whirlwind of emotions, from the excitement of discovering I was pregnant to the little kicks I can now feel in my stomach. It's like nothing I've ever experienced before. Gary has been incredible through it all. He's attended every doctor's appointment, we've read parenting books together, and he's even been setting up a beautiful nursery for the baby. We're fully in baby mode now, picking out names, decorating, and making future plans. Gary is beyond excited to become a dad, and that makes my heart swell. He's been fully involved, helping with everything, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. We're facing the ups and downs of pregnancy together, cherishing every moment as we prepare for our baby's arrival. A couple of months ago, we decided it was time to share the news with our families. We'd made it through the first trimester, and we were sure everything was good before telling anyone. So we invited our parents, close family, and friends over for lunch. At first, they thought it was just a regular get-together, but when they saw my growing belly, their faces lit up with joy and surprise. My mom burst into tears when she saw me, and it was like a wave of happiness hit her. She instantly understood why we had kept it a secret and was over the moon to be a grandma soon. She was thrilled, and I could see the excitement in her eyes. But Gary's mom, Barbara, didn't share in the happiness. Instead, she got angry when she found out we had kept the pregnancy quiet. Barbara felt excluded and immediately blamed me for not telling her sooner. No matter how much I tried to explain our reasoning, she just got more upset, refusing to engage with me. Her attitude cast a shadow over what was supposed to be a joyful occasion for the family. That night, Barbara barely spoke to me. In fact, she was completely rude to my mom, who had always been kind to her. While everyone else was chatting and enjoying the evening, Barbara buried herself in her phone, completely ignoring the family. It was obvious that Barbara was upset, and her frustration was palpable. She made it clear to everyone that she had no idea about the pregnancy, which made her feel as though she'd missed out on precious time with her soon-to-be grandchild. Gary and his brother both noticed her growing anger. As things started to escalate, I felt overwhelmed and decided to step outside for a breather. My mom, noticing how upset I was, came to comfort me until I calmed down enough to return. When the night was wrapping up, Barbara made sure to say goodbye to me last, obviously noticing the disapproving glares from Gary, my sister, and my parents. The entire day, she barely exchanged more than a few words with me, just a quick hi and bye. After everyone had left, Gary walked his parents out, and I could hear them arguing from the foyer. Barbara was using that moment to unload all her grievances about me, making the already tense situation even worse. Thankfully, the house was finally quiet with just me, my parents, Gary, and his parents left. Barbara yelled at Gary, saying she couldn't believe I had kept the pregnancy from her and that I had no respect for family. Gary stayed calm and explained that both of us had decided to wait until we were sure everything was fine before sharing the news. That didn't sit well with Barbara. She began yelling, accusing me of not trusting her. Her exact words were, "I'm her mother-in-law. She should have trusted me with this from the start." That's when Gary finally lost his patience. Up until then, he'd kept his cool, but hearing his mother continue to blame me, I could see his anger boiling over. He firmly told her that he was equally responsible for the decision and that if she was angry, she could blame him too. He told her that she needed to stop overreacting and let it go. But Barbara wasn't backing down. She insisted he was letting me control everything, saying as his mother, she should have been the first to know about the grandchild. Gary stood his ground, telling her to stop attacking me and that he loved her, but she needed to leave before she said something she would regret. Barbara stormed off, leaving Gary standing there, visibly frustrated and disappointed by his mom's reaction. I had no idea tears were streaming down my face until Gary gently guided me back inside. The harshness of Barbara's words had left me feeling a mix of hurt and confusion. completely thrown off by the attack. Gary, always quick to notice when something's wrong, immediately noticed my distress and rushed to comfort me. My parents, sensing the tension in the room, wisely chose to hang back, allowing me the space I needed to collect myself and regain my composure. But Barbara didn't stop there. Later that night, I received a message from her that sent a wave of anxiety over me, already dreading what it might say. Her message read, "I must say, I am deeply disappointed in you. You knowingly kept a significant piece of information from me, and I find that absolutely unforgivable. I can't believe you would rob me of the joy of knowing about my grandchild from the very beginning. This is not how a family should operate, and I find it disrespectful and hurtful. Instead of apologizing to me for your immature action, you are now causing a divide between me and my son. Shame on you." Reading those words, I felt an intense mix of anger and hurt. I showed the message to Gary, and he was beyond furious. He couldn't understand why his mother would react in such a negative way and lay all the blame at my feet. Gary immediately decided to call her, warning her not to send any more messages like that, as it was only going to cause more stress for me. He even told her that if this behavior continued, he would cut her off. Gary's tone seemed to have an effect on Barbara. Faced with the threat of being cut off, Barbara shifted her approach. Rather than owning up to her part in the fallout, she suggested a solution. She claimed that the only way she could forgive us for what she saw as a slight was if we let her throw a baby shower for us. The sudden turn of events left us both taken aback, unsure of whether her offer was genuine or a manipulation to regain control of the situation. She kept pleading, saying nothing would make her happier than hosting a grand celebration for me and the baby, insisting she would handle everything. Gary looked at me, clearly curious about her change of heart, but I was still skeptical. To me, her shift in tone felt more like a tactic to reassert her authority than a true desire to make amends. Despite my concerns, Gary, always trying to find a peaceful solution, suggested we at least consider her offer. I voiced my worries to him, stressing that accepting it might only reinforce her belief that her actions were justified. Gary understood where I was coming from but hoped that by allowing her to throw the shower, it might help mend the rift between them and create a more harmonious atmosphere before the baby arrived. Reluctantly, I agreed, and Gary told his mom to go ahead with the planning. She was absolutely thrilled and expressed her gratitude for being trusted with the task. But even though I had agreed, I expected there to be some level of collaboration in the process, where she'd ask for my input or at least consider my preferences for my own baby shower. As the date for the shower drew nearer, I figured we'd start getting into more detailed planning, but instead, I found out my mother-in-law had taken full control. She had bought all the decorations, picked out the games, and planned the activities, all without consulting anyone, including me. When my mom reached out to her to talk about the shower, Barbara simply told her that everything was already set in stone, and it would be a surprise for me. The lack of communication and consideration for my thoughts left me feeling deflated and frustrated. What was meant to be a joyous occasion was now being shaped entirely according to Barbara's vision, with no regard for what I wanted. On the day of the baby shower, the room was filled with excitement, but there was also an underlying tension. I arrived at the venue, a local banquet hall, surrounded by my friends, who were all eager to celebrate the baby's upcoming arrival. But as soon as I stepped in, I couldn't help but notice the decorations. A sea of brown and beige balloons filled the room, all part of a theme that was completely Barbara's creation, and it looked nothing like what I had imagined. I absolutely hated the decorations. To me, they looked like a misguided attempt at a safari theme that had completely gone wrong. The overwhelming brown and beige tones clashed horribly with the vibrant, joyful atmosphere I had envisioned for the celebration. I had always imagined soft pastels and delicate accents for my baby shower, but my mother-in-law had clearly gone in the complete opposite direction. The tension in the air only grew when my gaze landed on something near the entrance, an enormous banner featuring a collage of baby pictures of my husband, alongside Barbara. Everyone around me seemed confused, and we all silently wondered why she would choose to display my husband's baby pictures at my baby shower. I shot her a questioning look, and she laughed it off, casually saying she expected our baby to look exactly like Gary and was so proud of how adorable he was as a child that she thought it would be fun to show it to everyone. I just stared at her, trying to process whether she had truly lost her mind. It became painfully clear that Barbara was determined to make the event more about her memories as a mother than about the new life that was about to join our family. As more guests began to arrive, I saw their expressions range from confusion to awkward discomfort. The sea of brown and beige balloons, paired with the towering banner featuring a showcase of my husband's childhood, created an ambience that felt completely off from the elegant and joyful atmosphere I had hoped for. I exchanged apologetic glances with a few of my friends, who clearly shared my discomfort. When my mom walked in, her eyes immediately widened in shock as she took in the complete disaster that Barbara had created. Her gaze then fixed on the banner, and I could almost feel her disbelief at the audacity of turning my baby shower into an exhibition of Gary's childhood, instead of a celebration of our baby's arrival. Without a second thought, my mom marched over to the banner, her expression shifting from stunned to determined. She didn't say a word, just grabbed the banner firmly and, without hesitation, removed it from its prominent position. The room went silent as all eyes turned toward my mom, who carried the intrusive display away and disposed of it in the trash. I felt an overwhelming wave of gratitude toward my mother for standing up for me and showing such unwavering support. Barbara, who had been busy chatting with other guests, froze in horror as she watched my mother throw the banner into the trash. She immediately turned to my mom and asked in a disapproving tone, "What do you think you're doing?" That banner was a special touch to celebrate the baby and the family. My mom, undeterred by Barbara's criticism, replied calmly but firmly, "This celebration is for my daughter and her baby, not for showcasing your personal achievements." The guests, sensing the shift in the air, watched in silence, some exchanging uncomfortable glances. Barbara, realizing that her attempt to dominate the day had backfired, tried to regain control of the situation. "Well, I thought it would be nice for everyone to know who's responsible for this beautiful event. Since I'm the one throwing it, I thought everyone would like to see how cute Gary was as a child," she said, her annoyance barely concealed. But my mom wasn't backing down. "Barbara, you begged my daughter to let you throw this shower after everything that happened last time. This is my daughter's baby shower, not your chance to push your personal agenda or steal the spotlight." The room fell completely silent as my mom's words echoed in the space. The guests shifted uneasily in their seats, some avoiding eye contact, while others exchanged looks of disbelief. Barbara, realizing that her attempts to take control had failed, gave a forced smile and retreated back into conversation with the other guests. The rest of the baby shower continued, and I did my best to focus on the positive energy from my friends and family, despite the lingering tension. I thought surely there wouldn't be any more surprises from Barbara, especially since she seemed to be drinking a little more than I thought was appropriate for a baby shower. But at that point, what could I even say to her? We played a few party games, and slowly, some of the guests began to relax and enjoy themselves. Then came the moment I had been dreading, gift opening time. I was genuinely touched by the thoughtfulness of the gifts from my friends and family, but my emotions quickly shifted to confusion when Barbara handed me a conspicuously large gift box with a grin that seemed almost too exaggerated. The room fell silent as I slowly opened the box. I could already feel the mixture of embarrassment and frustration building up inside me. My mom shot Barbara an angry look, and the other guests exchanged awkward glances, unsure of how to react to this bizarre turn of events. Trying to avoid any more drama, I forced a smile and weakly thanked her for the gift, while desperately suppressing the urge to roll my eyes. Things took a turn for the worse when it was time for the cake-cutting ceremony. My mother-in-law had gone all out and ordered an extravagant, multi-tiered cake with decorations that could only be described as over the top. She made a big deal out of it, clinking her glass to get everyone's attention, making it clear she was expecting all eyes to be on her. I was starting to get really annoyed, wondering what she was up to now. We all stared at her, waiting for her to speak, and then Barbara made an announcement. She had come up with the perfect name for our baby girl. I froze, completely stunned by her words. Keep in mind, we hadn't even agreed on a name yet. But there she was, proudly declaring that our baby would be named after her great-grandmother, an old-fashioned name straight out of a Victorian novel. I couldn't believe it. I was both shocked and irritated that she thought she had the right to name our child. I politely stepped in and explained that my husband and I wanted to pick our baby's name together, that it was something we wanted to decide as parents. But Barbara wasn't having any of it. She insisted she had picked the perfect name and, in her opinion, if I were a good daughter-in-law, I'd accept it since she had spent so much money on the baby shower. I was floored by her sense of entitlement. I stood firm and said that only Gary and I had the right to choose our baby's name, and no matter who threw the baby shower, this decision was ours to make. That's when Barbara completely lost it. She started yelling at me in front of everyone, calling me disrespectful and saying I should be grateful for all she had done. She went so far as to criticize my upbringing, saying I should be thanking her instead of denying her the right to name the baby. Barbara became increasingly aggressive, jabbing her finger in my face. My mom, sensing the danger, immediately stepped in front of me, acting as a protective shield. Barbara kept shouting, claiming she was the real mom of my baby because she had given birth to Gary, and it was his sperm that had impregnated me. Her words were appalling, and hearing them made my stomach turn. My mom tried to intervene, but Barbara wasn't backing down. She just got angrier, continuing to insult me and claiming that my mom had done a terrible job raising me. It was clear Barbara had drunk too much, and trying to reason with her at that point was pointless. The whole situation was spiraling out of control, making everyone feel uncomfortable. I knew I had reached my breaking point and couldn't take any more of the humiliation. In an attempt to salvage some dignity, I decided to leave with the gifts my friends had brought me, leaving behind the one Barbara had given. But in her intoxicated state, Barbara snatched the gifts from my hands and threw them to the floor, accusing me of being ungrateful and calling me a witch who was trying to come between her and her son. The commotion drew attention, and I noticed a few people beginning to film the incident. To try to defuse the situation, I asked one of my close friends to politely ask the remaining guests to leave. But Barbara didn't stop. She kept throwing out nasty accusations, turning what was meant to be a joyous occasion into a chaotic spectacle. I felt completely helpless. Frustrated and overwhelmed, I decided to call the police. At this point, I was genuinely feeling unsafe with her aggressive behavior. Yes, you read that correctly. I had to involve the police at my own baby shower because of my toxic mother-in-law. When the officers arrived, Barbara went into full drama mode. She started pointing at me and painting me as the villain, accusing me of being the one who caused the chaos. Thankfully, the officers were understanding and tried to reason with her, but Barbara, still drunk, resisted their attempts and even started yelling at them. Needless to say, it didn't work in her favor, and the situation quickly escalated to the point where she was arrested on the spot. My mom, close friends, and I left the event shortly afterward, shaken by what had just happened. Since then, Gary and I have been dealing with the fallout. Barbara is on a full guilt trip, playing the victim and garnering sympathy from some family members who weren't there and who don't live in the same city. Gary, though he understands why I called the police, thinks I may have gone too far. He believes I could have called him or his father for help instead. So, Reddit, do you think I was wrong for calling the cops on my mother-in-law for ruining my baby shower and pretending to be the real mommy of my baby? Update 1. I'm overwhelmed by the response I've gotten since posting about my baby shower. I want to thank everyone who's supported my decision to involve the cops. I've never witnessed such aggression from Barbara before. Usually, I only see her during the holidays when I don't spend much time with her. The level of aggression she showed at the shower left me genuinely concerned for my safety, especially given the impact it could have had on my unborn child. Since the incident, every guest who attended has reached out to express their support. Some have even shared videos of the entire event, which I plan to show to Gary when we have a serious conversation about his mother this weekend. Update 2. I showed the recording to my husband. As mentioned before, Gary and I sat down for a serious conversation about everything that had happened. I explained to him, in detail, how his mother's behavior escalated throughout the entire ordeal, starting with the hidden pregnancy reveal and leading up to the chaotic baby shower. I went over the yelling, the accusations, and the bizarre gifts she presented. Then, I shared the recordings with him. Watching the videos, it was clear that he was horrified. The reality of the situation seemed to hit him hard, forcing him to confront the uncomfortable truth about his mother's actions. Gary started to apologize sincerely, acknowledging that he had underestimated the severity of what had happened. I had no idea it got this bad. "I'm so sorry you had to go through all that," he said, his face showing both regret and frustration. He admitted that he had never imagined his mother could be this toxic. Her behavior seemed so out of character for her. He reassured me that he was fully on my side and made it clear that my safety and well-being, especially during my pregnancy, were his top priorities. We then dove into the deeper issues, discussing how his mother's need for control and validation had overshadowed what should have been a joyful occasion for us. Gary, clearly grappling with the reality of his mother's behavior, expressed his own concerns. He acknowledged that her actions had crossed a serious line. I told him that after the way his mother had treated me in front of everyone, I wanted nothing to do with her anymore. I explained that if he still wanted a relationship with her, that was up to him, but our child and I would not be a part of her life, at least until she sought counseling for her aggressive behavior. Gary's response was firm. He agreed that his mother's actions were disgusting and that he was willing to cut ties with her too. I assured him that he didn't have to go that far, but he insisted. She disrespected you, and she has no right to be in our lives anymore, he said. He understood that this wasn't just about the baby shower, it was likely a culmination of many long-standing issues with his mother. Gary assured me that he would personally handle the conversation with her and make it clear that this decision was entirely his. I also asked him to let her know that if she showed up unexpectedly at our door, trying to force herself back into our lives, I would be forced to call the police again. Update 3. It's been a month since my last update. For everyone asking, both me and the baby are doing well. I'm eagerly counting down the days until I finally meet my little one. Since my last post, Gary and I have completely cut off communication with Barbara. Gary had a serious talk with his parents, and his dad assured him that he would take the necessary steps to make sure Barbara understood the boundaries we had set and respected our decision. Since cutting ties with Barbara, our lives have taken a noticeable turn for the better. The constant drama and toxicity have been replaced with a newfound sense of peace and calm in our household. Now, Gary and I can focus on preparing for the baby's arrival without the constant fear of disruptions from Barbara. The support we've received from friends and family has been invaluable during this time. My parents and close friends have been a rock for me, offering their understanding and encouragement. Even some family members, who were initially unaware of the full extent of Barbara's behavior, have reached out to express their support after seeing the videos from the baby shower, which have now gone viral. Our journey isn't over yet, but this experience has only strengthened our bond and reminded us how important it is to face challenges together as a united couple. The decision to sever ties with Barbara wasn't made lightly, but looking back, it's been a necessary step for our well-being. While there may still be some lingering challenges ahead, we're optimistic about the positive changes this choice has brought into our lives. As we eagerly await the arrival of our baby, we are committed to creating a loving, supportive family environment that puts the well-being of both parents and child first.